What is going on, everybody? Welcome to your Before the Battle Badger Hunting Edition as the Buckeyes prepare to take on Wisconsin Saturday, 3:30. As always, I'm Jeremy the Couch Potato. Opposite side of the screen, we got Coach Slate. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like all the socials. In conjunction with that 1,000 follower mark on YouTube, we will be giving away the signed Eddie George mini helmet to one lucky winner. Comment, share, mess with the algorithm, put it in our favor. Saturday 3:30, Buckeyes take on Wisconsin, a program who will probably also be without a head coach, as we talked about recruiting chips, a couple other programs. Buckeyes favored by 25.5. Wisconsin just does Wisconsin things.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I thought Wisconsin would be a little bit better this year. You know how I feel about Coach Fickle. One of my favorite coaches in college football. Super respectful, super loyal guy. One of my favorite Coach Fickle stories is the fact that he just supported, Marcus Freeman like no other, man. I remember Marcus Freeman at one of the coaches' clinics was given one of his first presentations as a collegiate coach, and Coach Fickle was sitting in the front row taking notes like he was a student. And it was so cool to see. And immediately after the presentation was over, before Coach Freeman met with any other coaches, Fickle pulled him aside, went over his notes with them, told him what he needed to improve, what he liked, what he didn't like. And it was just so cool to see, like, this coach, mentor, protege type relationship happen. And it was really cool. They dapped each other up, and Coach Fickle went about his business, man. And so it was that day where I said, I have nothing but respect for that guy. And so it was just like two Buckeyes taking care of each other, man. And so that was something like, that's something I want to be able to make that type of impact on a player, that he has that much respect for me as a coach, that he beelines to me after I give my first clinic talk, man. So listen, no matter how bad I want to beat Wisconsin this weekend, that's something that will always stand out to me about Coach Fick.
Ohio State defensive analyst next year, Luke Fickle, maybe?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Before we dive into the particulars about the game, couple of new official Buckeyes as of tonight. Epi Santilli and Isaiah West shed the black stripes. Coach Day also came out and said that Edric Houston and Lorenzo Styles will be ready to go.
Good.
That's always good, especially, Wisconsin's going to run the ball.
Yeah.
So to have that D-line depth, they, when I say Wisconsin does Wisconsin things, I more so on the offensive side of the ball this year. Very, very vanilla, averaging 15.5 points a game, 112 yards on the ground, 180 through the air. On the flip side, they're giving up almost 23 points a game, 98 yards on the ground, 219.5 through the air. So as much as Ohio State fans are clamoring for a big play, you might see multiples this weekend.
Yeah, I think it's a team right now that's really searching for their identity. I think Mike Tressel, their defensive coordinator, is a really good coach. Some of the things that he did at Cincinnati as their defensive coordinator are some of the things that, the last 4 years of my coaching career as a defensive coordinator have been things that I've tried to emulate. I think he does a really good job and has some really good schemes. I just think they're really, trying to find their way right now. And so I think that's why you're seeing them struggle a little bit. And then offensively, like you said, it's kind of vanilla. Consistent quarterback play, consistent run game play. You would like to see them be able to get the ball down the field more with Jaden Ballard, former Buckeye. You would think they would try to do those things a lot more, but yeah, man, they're just struggling right now. And There's really not much else to say
No,
about that. They're just trying to find their footing. And we thought, you and I both thought that this was going to be a good year for the Wisconsin Badgers. And unfortunately, it's just not been the year that we thought that they were going to have, especially with some of the talent that they got in when the transfer portal,
yeah,
some of the recruits that they brought in, and the coaching staff that they have. They have a phenomenal coaching staff. And so, this is a team that's just trying to find their footing, but I guarantee you they're going to be up for this game
oh yeah,
because, Coach Fick is a Buckeye, so he's going to make sure the
right,
guys are ready to go.
yeah. I mean, a couple of things that jumped out to me team wise, they are 30 for 80 on third downs on offense.
Okay.
But on the flip side, their opponents are only 21 of 69 on when they're on defense. So it kind of evens out. Pretty good in the red zone, 10 of 12, 8 touchdowns. But then on the flip side, they have allowed their opponents into the red zone 18 times, giving up 10 touchdowns. So back in the day, Wisconsin, you knew they had two things. They had a giant offensive line and they were going to run the ball down your throat, and their defense was going to be rock solid. I don't know that you've got either one of those this year. Running back Dylan Jones is their leading rusher at 4.2 yards a carry, but you hit on quarterback play. The quarterbacks are obviously the engine to the offense. And the old adage is if you got two quarterbacks, you don't have any.
Yeah.
And they are playing two quarterbacks. Danny O'Neal, 60 of 85 on the year for 640 yards. Hunter Simmons, 33 of 59 for 329. But combined, 6 touchdown passes to 8 interceptions. So they turn the rock over a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, having two quarterbacks is not something that you really want to have. It just obviously shows that they're just trying to put some consistency together. And turning the ball over is never going to be a recipe for any sort of success. And so that's something that the Buckeyes are going to try to exploit and take advantage of to create to create turnovers and make sure that they continue to do that, keep that trend going on Saturdays to continue to turn over the ball. But yeah, I think they expected a little bit more from O'Brien. But this is just, when you got two quarterbacks, like you said, it's a tough spot to be in, and you're just trying to find that consistency, and they're just not finding it right now.
No. And from the games of theirs I've watched bits and pieces of, I've thought they looked better with Simmons. But obviously you can't have a 1 touchdown to 3 pick ratio. Wide receivers, you hit on Jaden Ballard. Obviously, we always talk about the Ohio guys. 7 grabs, 150 yards, 2 touchdowns. The other wide receiver that has noticeable stats is Vinny Anthony II. 24 catches, 274, and a touchdown. So nothing crazy, but also Wisconsin's not known for receivers. It's, nobody wants to go play in the cold and be a receiver.
Yeah.
Wisconsin's a different level of cold than Ohio.
Yes, it is.
Defensively, they've got some dogs, man. Linebacker Christian Allegro, 41 total tackles, 4 TFLs, and 2 sacks. He's really good. And defensive back Ricardo Holloman has a pick and 3 pass breakups. Those are kind of the leaders of the back 7. Both very good ball players.
Yeah, Wisconsin always has, regardless of who the coach is, Wisconsin always has some very good defensive players. That is just something that has been a staple. I will say Coach Tressel has done a really good job of, regardless of where he's been at, whether it's at Michigan State, whether it's at Cincinnati, whether it's at Wisconsin, he does find those diamonds in the rough.
Yeah.
and maximizes their ability, especially at the linebacker position, with his scheme. It can vary. but he does some odd front stuff. Can get into some 4-2-5 things. But when you have those versatile guys at the second level, it allows you to do so many different things. And so he's been able to find those guys that he can really have some success with in the defense. And it looks like he's found a few of them. And so, listen, I just have a lot of respect for Mike Tressel. I think he's a very good coach. Obviously, he keeps getting hired different jobs, man. So I just think I think he's a very good coach, and I think he puts guys in the right spot. And unfortunately, this year things just haven't gone his way.
Yeah, and they actually have like a few bona fide big names. Obviously, Holloman has made a name for himself. Will get drafted. Tackett Curtis. We always talk about all the Ohioans, but Tackett Curtis, a guy who, former defensive coordinator at Ohio State, Jim Knowles, $3 million man, loved Tackett Curtis. Tackett Curtis goes to USC to play for Lincoln Riley. We see how well that worked out since he's at Wisconsin. 26 total tackles, 1 sack. Kid's a stud. He is a guy who Buckeye fans all wanted. We didn't get up with him either time. But obviously we're going to have to account for him on Saturday. You hit on Jaden Ballard. Another Ohio guy. They have a lot of Ohio guys, so I'm only going to dive into the guys who are playing, meaningful minutes. So we hit on Jaden Ballard. Daryl Peterson III. Graduated from Akron Hoban. Technically an outside linebacker. 13 total tackles, 5 TFLs, and a sack. Just kind of a space eater as an outside linebacker. And then their kicker, Nathaniel Vakos from Avon. 3 of 5 field goals, does all their kicking, kickoffs included. So obviously you're going to have some guys amped up, like we always say, to play the Buckeyes. I could see Tackett Curtis coming out with a real chip on his shoulder.
Yeah, man. Tackett Curtis was a kid that I really wanted to be a Buckeye. He was a stud, man. Coming out, I believe he's from Louisiana.
Yep.
Right? Yeah, from Louisiana. It's just an absolute tackling machine. Just sideline to sideline, just got after it. And I think that was a guy that was going to be like the perfect jack linebacker.
Yeah.
In that Jim Knowles scheme, right? And so Tackett Curtis was somebody that I was excited about the potential of him being a Buckeye. And so he will definitely be amped up for this game for sure. But yeah, man, listen, it's Ohio State. These kids are going to be excited to play the Buckeyes, and Coach Fick is going to make sure of that. There's no doubt about that.
So as much as, they have a bunch of Buckeyes on the roster, I don't think we've ever seen a coaching staff with as many dudes on it tied to Ohio State and or the state of Ohio as this program. Obviously, Luke Fickell. You have showed us a peek at him with what you saw. We all love Luke Fickell.
Yep.
It just didn't work as the head coach here the interim year, but I will always give Luke Fickell his flowers for staying as a co-DC and winning a natty at Ohio State.
Yeah, that was an easy thing to do, man. That was it takes a man. Like that was something that was impressive, man.
Mike Tressel, DC, obviously the last name says it all. Then you get to the position coaches. Their quarterbacks coach, Smooth Jazz, Kenny Guyton.
Yeah.
I'm just glad to see Kenny G finally coaching quarterbacks and not receivers.
I know, man. Kenny G has done this coaching thing the right way, man. He has just worked his way up the ranks. He coached at Arkansas. He's just really he's coached all over the place. He's done things the right way. He's now coaching quarterbacks. Once you're Coach Fickell's a very loyal guy, and so Kenny Guyton had to go out and kind of prove himself. but Coach Fickle has just seen the work that he's put in. And that's one of the best things that you can do is prove your worth at another position that you didn't play. And he did that while coaching receivers, and now he's back coaching the quarterbacks. I would love to see Kenny Guyton come back to Ohio State eventually, because he is a very, very good coach. Don't let the record, don't let the recruits and things like that fool you. He is a stud coach.
Yeah, I mean, if I had to have my pick of former Buckeye quarterback coaches, I think the one I would pick would be in Chicago, though. I think JTB would be the pick. Just because you heard while he was here how good of a coach he's going to be. Cornerback coach Paul Haynes spent a ton of time at Ohio State, massive ties to Luke Fickell. Obviously as the corners coach, that's your wheelhouse.
Yep.
Same thing. Don't look at the stats. Like, this guy coached some players when he was at Ohio State.
Yeah, veteran coach, well respected. Like you said, he coached some very good players here at Ohio State. I have a lot of respect for Coach Haynes. I did meet him at a coach's clinic one time. He was a very nice guy, really wanted to pour into a lot of the young coaches. And again, Coach Fickell, loyal to the people that were loyal to him. And so that's what you see that is very, common on this staff. And Coach Haynes knows what he's doing. He brings a lot of veteran leadership to that staff. And I think that's something that Coach Fickell is looking for. He needs that on his staff right now. And so, again, another guy who's got ties to Ohio State, man. I think, like I said, I think this is a very good staff. This is a very good coaching staff.
Wide receiver coach Jordan Reed played at OU, so no tie to OSU, but to the state of Ohio. Assistant linebackers coach. A guy who will always be remembered for being stuck guarding Devontae Smith. A Wisconsin guy, though. Tough Borland is their assistant linebackers coach. Cool to see a Wisconsin kid get to go back home and get his coaching feet wet, though.
Yeah, and Tough Borland gets a bad rep because of that play, which wasn't his fault. It was just the way the coverage worked out. It's a whole different thing. It was just the way the coverage worked out. They did not say, "Hey, you're in man coverage on this receiver." That's not the way it worked. The coverage worked out, and I guarantee on the headset, the Buckeye coaches were like, crap. Like, I guarantee that happened. But I thought Tough was a pretty decent linebacker, tackle to tackle. Pass coverage wise left a little bit to be desired, but he's a good young coach, solid young coach, knows the game, student of the game. At the coaches clinics, that's something that they always talked about when they mentioned guys who could potentially go into coaching after their playing careers. I know he was a name that was brought up quite a bit, man, and he's got the name Tough, so he's got to be a dude. And so I'm excited for him to be back at Wisconsin and just be in this coaching profession. I just love when former Buckeyes get into it, man, because it's so cool to see,
right.
Because their experience at Ohio State can just be shared amongst so many different programs because it's different than everybody else's experience.
Assistant special teams coordinator Michael, I'm going to butcher his last name, Sieben, played at OSU. So another guy, young guy, graduated I think in 2017.
Okay.
Got his feet wet at a couple of places. And then assistant director of player development, a guy who had Ohio State not insisted that he was a middle linebacker and finally moved him to the outside because when they did, it worked. And Chris Worley.
Wow. I did not. I must have looked over that. Okay.
Yeah. That drove me nuts.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it.
Why are we trying to make him our thumper? Put him outside and let him eat.
Yeah. He could have been so good, man.
Super, super cool guy. I met him one night. Super, super cool guy. Spread is 23.5 to 25.5, depending on where you look at. I think the Buckeyes cover it. I think it's just a matter of Jimmy's versus Joe's. I I think the Buckeyes win. I'm going to call it 42-6.
Okay. I'll go. I'm gonna go 40. I'm gonna go 45-10. I'm gonna go 45-10. Buckeyes win. Jaden Ballard scores a late touchdown against his former team.
Okay. I like it. So yeah, that kind of breaks down the battle. I don't know that it's going to be much of a battle. I say that, and it's going to be like a 17-10 game.
Yeah.
I actually told somebody today it was going to be 21-7 because they both play so slow on offense.
Yeah.
But with that said, don't forget, share the video, like the channel, comment, Facebook, X. We were back on Instagram last week. Like those posts do great. So continue to do that. We appreciate all the support. We got a bye week coming up, so that'll change the schedule, but we'll dive into that after we recap Wisconsin next week. But with that, we will see you guys later.